So it's just saying this is
Got
happening
it.
and you should know about it.
That's what it says. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. God, it's hot in here.
Is it?
Yeah, I probably should have put my fan on. It's so freaking hot. We're already getting to Texas heat time. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it is April.
Yeah.
So
It's already time for the humidity and the heat. It's coming. It's happening.
it's happening.
How's everybody doing today? Tuesday? We doing good? Everybody doing
good?
Yeah. Okay, you guys, I need to mention My Pillow. Make sure that you're heading over to mypillow.com/chicks and checking out all the things and the goods and stuff, and use code chicks and you can save big on all the sheets and really the slides.
That's the big thing right now.
I really think that you should go buy yourself a pair of slides because I live in them all summer long.
And if you get white ones, they're only $9.50.
It's cheap AF, as the kids would say.
I cannot stop wearing them, and they feel really good on my bunion.
Aren't they pillowy? They're very pillowy. Yeah. So check that out.
They are good for bunions. So if you have them.
Yeah. Another thing I want to mention is go to chicksontheright.com/links. And that has all of our socials. If you're not checking Mock out on Twitter, and then I do our Instagram, you're missing out. Because there's a lot of great content on both of those places. Plus, it has all of our other, that chicksontheright.com/links is cute and pink. And it has every single thing you ever wanted to have when it comes to chick stuff, social wise. So go out there and check that out. Okay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Do that. Okay. Couple things. Reason for my name today, you guys, is because there was this giant headline on the Daily Mail that said Meghan Markle, remember how she's done like her new brand, her new lifestyle brand. And so she's apparently sent to her best 50 influential friends, the first product to be released by her new lifestyle brand. And it's a jar of jam.
It's strawberry jam. Yeah, and I read the article, and apparently a lot of stars are doing this. Like Will Ferrell is selling honey, and Julianne Moore. Remember Julianne Moore? She was in Boogie Nights, redhead. She was in Hunger Games, Boogie Nights. She's selling stuff like this, like stuff from their farms. Like what a grift this is. And some of them are selling honey for like $250 a jar or a container.
God.
Because they're celebrities and they can do that, and people buy this crap. I blame people who buy it.
I know, right? Well, and Meghan Markle's whole entire line, if this is what it's going to be like, every last product is going to be a quadrillion dollars. Yeah. And so she's hoping that it will appeal to her elite friends, which it will. They will buy it up and it'll be this huge success. And once again, America rewards horrible people.
Totally. And they shouldn't be allowed to call themselves the Duke and the Duchess anymore. Why are they still
really
doing
shouldn't.
That? They use that all the time when they go places and do things. I thought that they gave that up when they bailed and she went all Yoko Ono. You don't get to do that. Am I wrong?
You really shouldn't get to like whatever, like sponge off of the titles that you abruptly and deliberately left. You were like, I don't want to be a part of the royal family. So then GTFO all the way.
Exactly. They're such grifters, these people.
I know. They're just awful. Absolutely awful. Oh my gosh. We just got a Venmo from Miss Dana Spain, who says she's catching us live from the East Coast, here for a court appearance and need positive vibes.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's no fun. She says to evict squatters.
No.
Dana is dealing with squatters.
You guys.
Oh my God, that makes me so mad.
Yes, I know, right?
Oh my gosh. She says, love y'all. Can't wait to giggle with you in person again soon. Balls.
We love you, Dana.
Man, I hope you prevel, because this squatter issue is making me rage on so many levels. I get so mad about it.
That hits home. Good Lord. I cannot believe you're dealing with that.
By the way, before you go and spend all of your money at Meghan Markle's new store,
just jam, you guys, jam.
First of all, please don't do that, because the last thing that you need to do is get yourself into a big fat bunch of debt, spending money on Meghan Markle's garbage. So don't do it. But if you've already made the mistake, and maybe it wasn't a mistake, maybe it was through no fault of your own, you find yourself currently piled and buried by debt. You are not alone, first of all. This is obviously super, super common in Biden's America, thanks to his ridiculous policies. So just know that there's help. There is help and there is a solution, and it is Pivotal Debt Solutions. They will find every possible solution to ending your debt permanently. And so before you do anything at all, before you think about like filing for bankruptcy, God forbid, before you do anything drastic, just call them. Just visit their website, zapmydebt.com. Visit today. You can talk to their certified debt specialist to find out how they can help you. They use all kinds of strategies to do this. You can talk to them for free, and you can find out how fast that they can help you get out of debt. Visit zapmydebt.com, zapmydebt.com.
I didn't pee, bish.
What were you doing?
I turned the fan on. I had to turn my fan on. I was dying of heat in here. Yeah. I was sweating like a woman from the old country.
Yesterday, we missed a tip that was left on our locals page. And, you know, I feel so bad always when we miss super stickers or tips or whatever. I just hate that. So I wanted to make sure to recognize Lori K68 today, who sent a tip yesterday. And she wrote, our election last week, a friend went to vote. They tried to sign her in under her husband's name, even though she showed her driver's license. She actually had to fight them to let them sign her in under her own name.
Oh,
I don't know where Lori is, but that's a bunch of BS right there.
What in the world?
That just makes me mad.
Yeah. My God.
So I'm not sure what state that is, but God,
you put them up.
That's exactly right. And here, speaking of our conversation yesterday, do you remember when we talked about how ridiculous the whole notion of people saying, oh, it's like discriminatory against Black people and old people to require them to have ID?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is always such a racist, ageist thing to say, as we mentioned. But interestingly, in Atlanta, the IRS, I guess, put out a memo to everybody saying, hey, you're going to have to verify your identity in order to receive your refund. And there were lines upon lines upon lines outside of the IRS yesterday. And somehow they are all able to show who they are.
And they weren't going away.
Weird.
They were not going away until they got their money. Isn't that weird how that works? Yeah.
It's just so weird that nobody was like, that's racist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's racist. And I somehow don't have ID. Come on.
I know. It's such a ridiculous argument.
Yeah.
And then here was another headline that was interesting. Of course, we talked about Sage Steele a couple weeks ago. She had a meetup with Trump at some point and took a picture. There was a selfie and she posted it on her Instagram. And Travis Kelce had the unmitigated gall to like it.
You can't do that. You can't do that. Dating Taylor, what's her name? Yeah, you can't do that.
You are not allowed to like a Sage Steele post.
No,
you absolute scumbag.
Do that. What's wrong with you, you Neanderthal?
And he is getting it hard from the Swifties because, of course, they're all liberal because she's liberal. And so here's an example. Somebody was like, Travis Kelce liking a post from Sage Steele promoting Trump. Not surprised that idiot is MAGA. Could smell MAGA on Travis a mile away.
It's so funny. They were like, because over the weekend, I don't know if you guys saw, but so many of the posts about them because they went to Coachella or something.
Yeah.
Like he could lift her up with his bare hands. He could actually hold her up. And I'm like, this is a freaking story. Like, what is wrong with our world? And I'm sure they were like, oh, that obviously makes him MAGA because he doesn't have like limp noodle arms. He works out. He's actually an athlete. He's probably MAGA because he has testosterone in his veins. Oh my God.
I mean, I think he's like supremely obnoxious and not in the good way like his brother is. But I mean, come on, let the guy freaking like a Sage Steele post. Who cares? Give it a rest.
It shouldn't matter to anybody anyway, what anybody thinks about any of this stuff. You know, I don't care what he thinks. I don't care what Taylor thinks. I don't care. Just vote and do your thing. Yeah. And be American, you know?
Unfortunately, it's almost every day, I think, that we're starting to see headlines just like this one. So an illegal immigrant, age 20, is charged with child rape finally captured by agents after he was released on bail, of course, 4 months ago, even though the judge was like, hey, this guy seems like he'd probably be a flight risk. Doesn't matter. In Democrat cities, they're like, oh, no, let's let all the criminals go, especially the super violent ones. But let's absolutely try to jail Trump for sleeping with a porn star and paying her off to be quiet about it.
Yeah, we should. I mean, this guy.
What's more important?
He should be castrated is what should happen.
Right?
Just castrate him and then put him away. Put him away, not in our jail. Go give him back. Castrate him, then send him back.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then lastly, this is another common sort of headline. It's like, these are the headlines that I read now, and I'm just like, yeah, that tracks. That tracks with today's society. If you are listening and not watching, it says transgender woman, 35, who identifies as a vampire, is convicted of sexually assaulting a mentally disabled teen while under investigation for strangling and the death of a man at her home.
Okay.
So,
yeah, we need to bring back mental institutions for sure.
For real. For real. Those are just a few little headlines that I saw.
Yay, these are great ones, Mark. Thanks.
Yeah, let's share these today.
Yeah. Started off with jam and ended with a bang there. That was great. Okay.
Charity Inglis, thank you. Charity says, my first grandbaby was born Friday. Dylan William.
That's a great name. Congratulations.
Gosh, that is amazing. So last Wednesday, Thursday, we had played that video from this group of activist weirdos who were planning this global day of economic disruption for yesterday. So they were, trying to plot all the cities across the world. There was going to be all this disruption. It was a little more chill than expected, I think, although they did come out and they did cause some hullabaloo in a few different cities across the United States, namely one of them being the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Here's a Fox report about it.
Part of the Golden Gate Bridge on the Oakland side, Oakland, California. This is a live look. Look at that. Traffic has come to a halt as police officers in riot gear are responding. Protesters waving flags, and they have painted the bridge in some support of Palestinians, anti-Israel. Sean Duffy, co-host of the.
So this is what it looked like at the front of where this blockade was taking place. So they've gotten very clever. They're not just sitting on the ground. Now they're like putting their arms and holding hands with like these tube things. So this is what it looks like.
Something covered.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they can still be mowed over. Not that I'm condoning that. Not that I'm saying that you should do that, but I mean, this is the thing. Okay. So, I mean, this is happening in Democrat cities, obviously. It's happening in liberal cities because they're allowing it to happen.
And for some reason, the mayors of these cities tell the cops, at least temporarily, to stand down and just allow this to happen for hours before they actually do anything about it. I don't understand why they allow them to get away with this crap.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure they're changing lots of minds because I'm sure the people that are sitting in traffic for 3-4 hours are going, oh yeah, I'm so delighted that they're doing this, and I'm absolutely changing my mind on this stance. Can you imagine how pissed you'd be?
Oh my God.
You're in that traffic.
Rage. I cannot even begin to tell you the rage.
I mean, I can't. I get pissy if I'm 15 minutes in traffic at this point in my life. I mean, I've done traffic a lot in my 20s and 30s. I lived in Atlanta, for crying out loud, and Boston and Chicago. I mean, I've done the traffic thing. If I have to sit for 15, 20 minutes and I'm that put out at this point, I am in a complete, I can't imagine how half the people in that line of traffic felt. You're definitely not changing minds, you losers.
No. And here's a first person account after the 3-hour mark.
3 hours. Our car was stranded
on a bridge.
Oh my God.
I keyed a few minutes ago. Cops are backed up all the way across the bridge now.
Go ahead and get back in your car. We're going to open it up very soon.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Look at that.
Unreal.
And it's like 10 people at the most that are causing all this mayhem.
Exactly. 7 to 10 people. Get them out of there. Drag them out.
Oh my God. And then there was Chicago. So they did the same thing, blocking access to the Chicago airport. And so people who had flights to catch, some of them were actually getting out of their cars and walking. They just left their cars in the middle of the street. This is absolutely incredible. Here's some footage.
It's bad when people are literally sitting on top of their cars and walking to the airport.
So they have flights to catch.
Oh, there's a protest.
Oh,
That's annoying.
yeah.
Look at this.
Beautiful. If you notice, there's a bunch of masks out there too. All these people are wearing masks. Look at all the masks, you guys. It's not for a virus. Why do you think they're wearing masks?
God, I would be enraged
Yeah.
if this was, oh my God.
I'd be like, take your mask off, you coward.
Right?
You have a backpack. Is it gray?
And people are mad. They're like, you for blocking me.
Yeah. Especially, can you imagine? What if you had to catch a flight for any reason? It doesn't even matter what the
Yeah.
reason is. You have to catch a flight and you miss a flight because of these jackholes. Yeah, exactly.
God. So
They're
this next
absolute rage.
clip is just about the people that are participating in these protests and how sometimes they can get paid really well for this.
It goes back, some of this stuff goes back to the 60s, some of it to Occupy Wall Street more recently, where a lot of these techniques were sort of tested out. And generally, people who do these protests, they're in college, they go back to their lives. But what some of them do is they sort of graduate into management, for lack of a better term, and it's a career path. They become organizers. They're funded by nonprofits, George Soros foundations, and the like. And they get money to do this thing. That's their lives. And some of them actually make decent money.
That is vile.
You remember Occupy Wall Street? Remember when
Yeah.
there were people pooping on cop cars? Y'all remember?
Mhm.
This is the caliber of individual that we're dealing with who's in these protests. Yeah. Mhm.
And there are places, of course, where this will not be tolerated, namely Florida. Florida, apparently they tried this in Tampa and it did not last long because immediately the police department rolled up, they issued citations, they cleared them out within 15 minutes.
That's how it's
that's
done.
what's happened. That's what happens when you have good leadership. You don't deal with this bullshit. You don't allow the crazies to take over entire city streets for hours, hours and hours.
Well, it's translation. That's what you happen when you're in a conservative city.
Yeah.
That's what,
Yeah.
and when you're not in a stupid liberal city, I mean, seriously, that's the difference. It's like, no.
You don't do that here. Try that in
Yeah.
a small town, as they say.
Exactly.
Now, Tom Cotton was on talking about what would happen and what it would look like if people tried this in his home state. And he actually said some things, you guys. He said the things out loud.
Well, I feel very deeply for all those people who are trying to get to work or trying to pick up a kid. Very worried about the diversion of police resources when it needs to be stopping crime in cities like San Francisco, where firefighters are having to go there when they might have calls for fires out. I have to say, Sandra, I agree with you that you have to get to these criminals early. If something like this happened in Arkansas on a bridge there, let's just say I think there'd be a lot of very wet criminals that have been tossed overboard, not by law enforcement, but by the people whose road they're blocking. If they glued their hands to a car or the pavement, well, probably pretty painful to have their skin ripped off. But I think that's the way we'd handle it in Arkansas. And I would encourage most people anywhere that get stuck behind criminals like this who are trying to block traffic to take matters in their own hands. There's only usually a few of them, and there's a lot of people being inconvenienced. It's time to put an end to this nonsense.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's just not wrong. I mean, again, like you said, try that in a small town. If you did that where I live, that would happen. People aren't going to be inconvenienced where I live. And you try that crap here in the town that I live in. Oh my God, there's no way that would fly. It just wouldn't. People would be like, no.
Yeah,
No.
but then like you got to know, depending on where you are, you got to know what the rules are in your state and what happens if you, because ultimately you could be the one that's punished, and that's infuriating but true. And so you have to be careful when you just decide to go all vigilante.
I
You
think
know
a
what I
lot
mean?
of people would be willing to take that. I think a lot
Like
of
go to
people,
jail and like,
I guess some people probably would be. Some
mean,
people would be
I don't
willing to
know.
take one for the team. Because look at the people that were put out by that on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh my God, for hours and hours and hours.
I mean,
I just cannot. Oh my! And on a bridge, I would be terrified. I would have abandoned my car.
I
For
would have
sure.
abandoned my car too. You know how much I hate bridges.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. And he's not, listen, I know that you think saying that out loud probably was not the appropriate thing to say, but we're all thinking it.
Exactly.
So
Well, and it's kind of like what Newt says too. Newt Gingrich is so enraged, rightly, at the protesters, particularly those who scream "Death to America," right? And so, you know, I feel his rage so much. But what he's suggesting here, I think we need to give some pause to. Not about the deportations, because he's absolutely right. If you are a non-citizen and you are here without authority, and you're
GTFO.
going to these protests and you're screaming "Death to America," honestly, I don't care if you're shot on sight. I really don't. I don't care. You broke the law. You shouldn't be here, and you hate it here. And now you're trying to trash the country that's hosting you illegally.
That's paying for you.
Bye.
Yeah, it's hosting you, paying for you, and
Oh my
giving you
God.
everything for free. GTFO.
Yeah, I do not care about them. But when it comes to American citizens, it's a little bit more complicated. But here's Newt.
The fact is, I think we ought to go back and learn the lessons of the 1930s. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was faced with a Nazi effort inside the United States. They locked people up. If I believe, frankly, we should say, if you are for the victory of Iran, if you want to scream death to America, we're deporting you. If you're an American, we're going to try you for treason. You can't get up and say death to America as an American citizen. And it's time that we were prepared to defend the survival of the United States. And I think that it's time we confronted head on a president who clearly, on every single front, from Ukraine, where he favors Russia, to what's happened in Afghanistan, where in the end he favored the Taliban, to what's happening in Gaza, where he favors Hamas, to what's happening with Iran, where he favors the Iranians. On every front, Joe Biden is on the side of the people who hate America.
That's
yeah.
true.
I mean, this is the thing. I love the sentiment there.
Right.
You can't put people in jail like for, burning the flag or saying that you can't. I don't think you can say you can't put people in jail for saying out loud "Death to America." You can shame them, which we don't do enough of. Now, if they're illegals, yeah, GTFO, like find out if these people are not supposed to be here and then deport them, which we do not do. We just don't do it.
And I mean, the thing is whenever I see a protest that includes the burning of the American flag, it makes me sick to my stomach. The same way that it makes me sick to my stomach to think that any citizen of this country would say "Death to America." But the fact remains that is what makes America, is that they have the right to do those things. So I do get a little bit squirrely when Newt suggests that they be thrown in jail for treason.
But the sentiment,
it's just saying things, right?
The sentiment I love, and I think the problem is nowadays is there's just not enough shame in that.
Yeah,
there's not enough shame. In fact, the tables have turned. The pendulum has swung so far to the other side where it's like people are cheering for that now, and that terrifies me.
And but the problem too is the reason that I paused when I heard him say that, because as much as I love what he says, because I feel the rage, but the other thing that gave me pause are some clips that we'll play later of people like Iranian citizens who also hate their government. They hate the Islamic Republic, but they should be allowed to say that, right? But so I imagine it from that same perspective. What if Joe Biden completely manages to destroy this country? Are we not allowed to say death to the Joe Biden administration, death to this version of America,
Right.
without fear of penalty. We need to be able to say that even when it's awful, right?
Yeah,
Like even
yeah.
when it's gross to hear it, people need to be allowed to say that.
Yeah.
Andrea Viola, thank you. She says, this is what happens when you tolerate terrorism. I think she posted that during the protest stuff that we showed. She said the front row of cars needs to turn around, back up, rev their engines so that the peaceful protesters get a healthy dose of exhaust. Americans are too nice. God, it's
we really are. We really are. It's just where and then where are the men? Get some nice, strong, healthy men out there to move them, to physically pick them up and move them.
By the hair.
Travis Kelce, where are you? If you are in fact a mega, come on, pick them up and move them. That's what we need.
Well, he's never in that situation because he's always on a private jet.
That's true. He always is on a private jet talking about climate change.
Right. Laura Kate Baker, thank you. Laura says, Mock, I would be happy to confront these idiots. Can you imagine seeing me going to jail in my scooter? Fuji family, thank you. She says, that's my senator. We don't stand or sit for this mess. Curio23, thank you. He says, to own the Speed Racer Mach 5 with the saw blades extended and running. Eugene Heiger, thank you. Eugene says, I'll say that shit doesn't, I'll say it. That shit doesn't fly here in Florida. Trump, MAGA 2024, take that shit back to Palestine.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And Kat Stotler, thank you. Kat says, how about any citizen that says death to America automatically loses all American perks, no free legal counsel, no SSI, no food stamps, etc. It's just part of our speech, you guys, even when we hate it.
Yeah, I mean, like
part of it.
Now, if you do what that chick did the other day, that I can't remember her name, that chick that went into the meeting and started saying, I'm gonna murder all of you.
Right.
That's a completely different
that's
ball
totally
game.
different.
Then you
Totally
get arrested.
different.
Then you get arrested. That's not free. That's not just free speech. That's you're being a complete murdering asshat.
Yeah, you don't get to
do that. You don't.
Mm-mm. You don't. You guys, can I just mention that like every time I look out of my front window and I see my lilac tree just getting greener and greener and greener, I know there's flowers coming. I just know it. I can feel it in my bones that the lilacs are coming. And when they do, I will be obviously taking pictures and sharing them. But I credit fastgrowingtrees.com for making sure that I knew the exact right tree that would be appropriate for my front yard, for right in front of my little brick wall, because they know my region, they know my zone. And that's one of the benefits of going to the biggest online nursery for plants, trees, flowers, shrubs, bushes, fruit trees, you name it, indoor plants. They have it all. Their selection is out of control. That's why they have over 2 million happy customers, including us. And I also have this jade plant, which I just love, which is also thriving. Daisy's got her avocado tree.
It is thriving.
We got some stuff growing.
Mm-hmm.
We got some stuff growing. And because they love you, our audience, they are obviously offering a discount. So when you use code CHICKS at fastgrowingtrees.com, you will save an additional 15% on your order. And when I say additional, I'm saying that because they have some huge deals all the time that you should check out. So if there's something in particular that you're looking for, check to see what the latest deals are at fastgrowingtrees.com. And use code CHICKS to get that 15% off. Fastgrowingtrees.com. All right, let's get to, did I get everybody? Yes, no, I did not. BTK, thank you very much for that super sticker. Appreciate it. Yesterday was the first day of the Trump criminal trial, the Stormy Daniels case. And so they've just started the jury selection process. And like, I think it was around noon, I saw that Maggie Haberman had tweeted out that Trump was falling asleep, which I thought was amazing. Like, I thought it was so great. I immediately retweeted it and just said based, because I thought, you know what? That's the perfect way to show how meaningless and stupid this whole thing is. But apparently the Trump campaign is not happy that this story is out there. They're trying to say, no, that's fake news. He didn't fall asleep. I would own it. I would be like, yeah, I did. I fell asleep because it's boring, stupid nonsense. That's why I fell asleep.
And it's a perfect opportunity to take a nap. This is the perfect time for me to take a nap. Yeah, I think people are scrambling and saying he didn't get a lot of sleep the night before, blah, blah, blah. Like they're making excuses. Why would you make excuses? Just say this is the dumbest effing trial ever. And this is a perfect place for me to take a nap because you people are useless. All of you. This is useless. This is a waste of my time. And I never get to take a nap. And so I'm going to take one right now. That's exactly what I would have said. Like, I don't, and it's so funny how there's been such a crazy response, like from the Rachel Maddows of the world, who are just feigning outrage over the fact that this guy is falling asleep during like the 18th trial they've put him under when he has this crazy schedule. He's trying to campaign and he's like on trial in a million places, which the trials mean nothing because they're just trying to, we all know why he's on trial, right? And so she's feigning outrage over this, freaking out about it, and saying, oh, he has no respect for the judicial system, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, her guy, like, can't even form a coherent sentence. He can't walk by himself. He craps his pants like every 2 seconds. He is the embodiment of like visiting angels.
And he hops on over to the beach in Delaware, even when even in the middle of Iran's attack against Israel. He didn't address the nation.
No address.
He just went to the beach. That's the president.
Yeah.
So Maggie Haberman always just looks so miserable to me too. Like she's such a sad, kind of lonely looking person. Do you know what I mean? And she may be married. I have no idea. But to me, she just looks lonely. And so she was on with Jake Tapper. This was like right after she broke the news. And of course, Jake Tapper clamoring to get her on the show so that she could tell the story. Here it is.
I have to ask, you guys have been, at the Times, have been live blogging this event. And 40 minutes ago, you wrote an observation that I was very surprised. Trump appears to be sleeping. His head keeps dropping down and his mouth goes slack. Tell us about that.
Well, Jake, he appeared to be asleep, and he repeatedly his head would fall down. There have been other moments in other trials, like the E.G. Carroll trial, which was around the corner in January, where he appeared very still and seemed as if he might be sleeping, but then he would move. This time, he didn't pay attention to a note that his lawyer Todd Blanche passed him. His jaw kept falling on his chest, and his mouth kept going slack. Now, sometimes people do fall asleep during court proceedings, but it's notable given the intensity of this morning and a lot of what was being argued.
Yeah, that's rather surprising.
Gosh, she does look miserable, doesn't she? She looks like she is the kind of person the kind of lady that crochets like sweaters for cats. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? She's
Not
just
that
so.
there's anything wrong with that. If you want to
if you crochet sweaters for cats, she just looks like that's what she does for fun. You know,
like that's her Saturday night.
Yeah, she's like, woo! I'm gonna get me some like Welch's grape juice and crochet a sweater for my 8th cat. Oh my God.
Well, CNN, of course, really wanting to talk about Trump and his reaction to the whole day. And so here they are.
Courtroom as they see it.
And what did you notice from the former president today as he watched? We understood maybe in the preamble to the jury selection, he may have dozed off a couple times, but when the jury walked in, it appears he was very, very focused.
He was focused at the very start when he and his lawyers stood up and were introduced to the group of 96 people. But I do have to say that as that process itself dragged on, Trump did continue to look a little bit perhaps bored. He closed his eyes again. I wouldn't say he was necessarily asleep, but it's a long process. It's a long day for everyone involved. But tomorrow is going to be a full day of jury selection with each of these potential jurors being questioned probably throughout the entire day, and that might keep his interest up a little bit more, especially if one of these jurors comes out as being pro-Trump. He's gotten excited about that in past trials, the E.G. Carroll trial. When they were identified.
And of course, all he needs is one in this case, because it's criminal, one juror to vote on his behalf. It
could be an anti-Trump juror too who votes against
I mean, that's right to your point about how seriously people take. And
I mean, I'm bored. Are you guys bored? I'm so bored by all of this crap.
Right.
I can only imagine how he must feel. And he's probably like, this is the biggest waste of my time. I have so many other things to do. That's how I would feel. And then I would put my head down on the desk I wouldn't even be like,
tell me
in
when
my
it's
chair.
over.
I would just put my head down. Cause listen, I have a hard time. Like, I'm not a big napper anyway. I have a hard time falling asleep in places like that. Like, I think it was Bruce Wayne that said I can sleep anywhere. Okay. I envy people like you. So
Yeah.
I would, if I could, I would put my head down in that courtroom and I would just be like, you guys suck, all of you. This is so dumb. And it's such a waste of my valuable time. And he's a guy who's he's 80 years old. He has limited time left on this earth. He does not want to be spending it in a courtroom with the ridiculously just waste of time trial. This is so dumb. So dumb.
Well, and apparently after the reporting came out, because there are obviously breaks throughout the day. And so Trump must have gotten wind of the fact that Maggie had reported that he had fallen asleep. So he was very mad at her and apparently glared. And so Caitlin Collins, breathlessly, so excited, wanted to talk to Maggie about being glared at by Trump.
We're actually in the room for that. At one point, the pool said that he was glaring at you for several seconds. You had reported shortly before that during a break that he appeared to be falling asleep at one point as the proceedings were getting kind of tedious. Did you notice that?
I mean, yes, I noticed it. He made a pretty specific stare at me and walked out of the room.
Oh my God, I've been on the receiving end of said glares.
I know you have. I have too. I reported earlier that he had appeared to fall asleep. Now, we had seen him, and I want to be clear that I've seen lots of people fall asleep in courtrooms. I've seen jurors fall asleep. I've seen judges fall asleep. If anyone falls asleep who's a criminal defendant in a case, we're going to report on it. But he doesn't like when such things are reported, and I'm guessing, I don't know, that that's what this was about. I think that having to sit there and be captive while we all report on him is going to be deeply uncomfortable for him because he is somebody who likes to control things.
Maggie, are you okay? Are you all right? Show us on the doll where Trump hurt you and is glaring at you. Are you all right, Maggie? I mean, these
Maggie,
women.
are you okay? Are you okay, Maggie?
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Remember when the news was actually the news, you guys? I'm old enough to remember when my parents would watch the news and I'd be in the room. I'd be like, oh, look, it's news. It's Walter Cronkite. And they're talking about news on the news. This is the bullshit that we're having to watch now on the news. Oh my God, he glared at you. Tell us about what it was like when he glared at you. He glared at me, Caitlin. There was a look on his face that was threatening.
A very specific look.
It was a glare and it hurt me deeply. I have to go hug my 8 cats. Oh my God.
Well, Trump, very upset, rightly so, because he also discovered during the day yesterday that he likely will not be permitted to attend Barron's high school graduation, which is just, I mean, come on.
I know,
the
right?
The court could really just make this adjustment to the schedule. The fact that they're doing this is just such a salt in the wound kind of thing. And so here's Trump reacting to that piece of news.
So thank you very much. We had some amazing things happen today. As you know, my son is graduating from high school, and it looks like the judge will not let me go to the graduation of my son, who's worked very, very hard. He's a great student. I'm very proud of the fact that he did so well. And I was looking forward for years to have graduation with his mother and father there. And it looks like the judges are going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial. If you read all of the legal pundits, all of the legal scholars today, there's not one that I see that said this is a case that should be brought or tried. It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt.
Meanwhile,
and then there was more.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Let me just tell the next part of this, and then don't forget what you were about to say. Because after this, not only was he not going to get to go to the high school graduation, then he also learned he may not even be able to attend the presidential immunity argument that's happening in front of the Supreme Court next week. So he's real. I mean, this judge is really out of control.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Hunter Biden doesn't even have to show up to stuff.
Right?
It's infuriating. If you guys don't think that there's a 2-tier system of justice in this country, that is even more evidence to show you that there is. I mean, that breaks my heart. That alone, the fact that the judge is like, no, you don't get to do that. I hope Barron, and he will go on to do amazing things in his life. Yeah. And I hope he becomes a lawyer and a judge, and he just goes scorched earth on everybody. Honest to God.
Maybe he'll be president one day.
I hope so, because I'm sick about it. I'm sick about that in particular, because when they start doing that to him personally, just because they have such severe TDS and they're like, you can't, listen, it's one thing to make him go through all this trial stuff, but when you start doing it and punishing his kid, his good kid,
right,
that pisses me off.
It's just so wrong. Mad. It's so wrong and so avoidable and that's when you know how personal this really is.
And these people these people are sick. They are sick. It's gross.
Yep. If your dog is sick, there's a treatment for your dog. Actually, it's not really if they're sick. This is actually what keeps them healthy. This keeps them out of the vet's office. This is Ruff Greens. This is a premium nutritional supplement that was crafted by naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black. He's the founder of Ruff Greens. And he has put together a formulation that includes those things: essential vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, digestive enzymes. They bring dog food to life. And it's a green powder. And again, like if you're a human and you have an aversion to green powder, I hear you, but some of them are actually really, really good. And the same is true about green powder for dogs. My dogs are crazy about it. Absolutely crazy about it. Mm-hmm. Your dogs are crazy because they get to a point where they're like, where's my dressing?
Right. If they don't have it on there, they don't eat their food. It's really weird.
Where's my seasoning?
Right.
They treat it like seasoning. And then that's not all. They also have these Ruff Chews, a variety pack of beef, chicken, and bacon Ruff Chews that dogs also absolutely love. And you're going to see a difference in your dog, whether depending on what your dog's issue may be. Maybe you've got bad breath to deal with. Maybe you've got like some lethargy that's happening. You're going to see a difference in your dog when you give them Ruff Greens. It's kind of like a oil change for your car. You don't necessarily see an immediate difference when you get your oil changed, but it is really good maintenance for your car that helps your car last longer. And that's what we all want for our dogs, right? For them to last longer.
I've noticed it a lot with Theo, because Theo was like, he was the dog that we inherited from, I don't even know where he came from. And his coat is so shiny. He's so happy. He's so lively now. He's just part of that is emotional, but part of it also is physical, because we've been feeding him all of that now. And he's just such a good, happy, like physical dog now. Whereas before he was just like, I'm sad.
Yeah. And that's a good point. You said his coat was shiny. That is another benefit that you'll see is shiny coats. You can try it for free. You can get a free Jumpstart trial bag to see if your dog likes it, to see if they treat it like their own personal seasoning on their dry food. You can get that free Jumpstart trial bag at ruffchicks.com. That's RUFF chicks.com. ruffchicks.com.
Somebody said
thank yous.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, somebody said that Trump should go to the graduation and just get arrested. And I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Oh my God.
Because
not another court case. I can't.
Well, I got to tell you, if it were me, I wouldn't miss my daughter's graduation. I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't, because everybody can suck it. I'm not missing that. I'm not. And I get it. I get it that he's in so much trouble. He's running for president. He's doing it. But I would just be like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going. So yeah, I wouldn't
just add the contempt charge at this point. Like, what does it matter?
What does it matter? And the American people, especially our side of the aisle, would be like, heck yeah. And I think that would help him even in the polls.
Maybe. Yeah. Curtis George, thank you. Curtis says, isn't chanting "Death to America" a call to violence? That's an interesting point, interesting angle, and maybe that is right.
I really have problem. Like my heart when I say death to America, like when somebody uses their First Amendment rights to say death to America, every ounce of my being wants to put those people in jail. Totally. I want to do that so bad. But I just, you guys, I don't want to say I'm on the fence with that, but like my initial reaction was put him in jail.
Yeah.
Put him in jail. But I just,
there's a lot. it's hard because it's the same feeling I get when I see somebody setting fire to an American flag.
I wish I
It
could put them in
literally
jail
makes me
too.
sick, but
Yeah.
you know that they have the right to do it. Curio23, thank you. Curio says Trump closing his eyes in court, remembering how pleasant last colonoscopy prep was compared to this case. BTK says all MAGA need to be jurors on these trials. There's no way they're going to be
Oh my
allowed,
God.
but I
Not
don't
in-
think there any exist in that particular district.
Not in the cities that they're doing them in. Right.
Michelle Boyd, thank you. Michelle says, good morning, chicks. I made it to catch you live. You helped me have a good day. Bone
that's
Frog
so
and
sweet.
Chicks. I feel like that needs to be a t-shirt. LOL. I love that.
Well, happy day to you.
It's so nice. And Alexandra, thank you. Alexandra says Maggie needs to buy a backbone at Amazon.
Yeah. Bless her heart.
That's very Senator Kennedy of you to say that.
Yeah. Buy a span
Online.
online.
That was the greatest thing ever. I still cannot get over it. All right, let's talk about Iran, Israel, and the absolute beating that John Kirby got from various talk show hosts about the United States and our all over the place response, the fact that we've freed up so much money for Iran, allowing them to make this happen. So he went on with Dana Perino and what's that other guy? The guy that she's on with?
John something? John
Hemmer.
Thank you. I love him.
Bill Hemmer.
Bill. Why do I? Okay. He looks like a John or a Bill or a Chuck. Anyway,
I love him too.
I love him. He's just, super nice guy.
So he asked John Kirby, and Kirby struggles a little bit, but it's interesting. You're going to see two clips about this specific issue, right? First from Bill Hemmer. And then secondly from Peter Doocy. Notice the difference in how John Kirby answers the same question. I thought this was fascinating. Here we'll do Bill Hemmer first.
Iran has been a pain to your administration. It has been a pain to Israel when you consider its support for Hamas. In light of Saturday's events, where Iran hit Israel for the first time, or at least tried anyway, those that got through, is it time to rethink allowing Iran access to billions of dollars in electricity sales between Iraq and Iran? Will that policy be stopped, sir?
As you know, that's an item that comes up for extension every few months, Bill, and the previous administration also extended it, as have we, because the Iraqi people are just so reliant right now on energy resources from Iran.
Now that we know.
So there's one version of the Iran finances and the freeing up of money. Here's Peter Doocy, and it's a completely different tone.
That the Iranians do not listen to President Biden's public warnings. Is there any regret here about unfreezing billions of dollars for Iranian leaders during the president's administration?
What unfreezing are you talking about?
He unfroze billions of dollars
for Iranian leaders?
Yeah.
Really? I don't think so.
Okay,
so first of all,
it's for humanitarian purposes, but doesn't that?
But you don't believe me.
Well, doesn't that free up money for them to spend on other stuff? Where do you get the money for an unprecedented number of munitions to fire at Israel?
So first of all, I'm betting if they're sitting in Tehran, they're taking it seriously when President Biden says he's going to defend Israel. We put skin in the game, a whole heck of a lot of it, and knocked almost everything out of the sky. So I'm betting they're taking it pretty seriously. And as for this unfreezing, none of that fund, none of those funds set up in an account, by the way, by the previous administration, goes directly to the supreme leader of the IRGC, can only be used for humanitarian purposes. And we're watching that account very, very closely to make sure that that's what happens.
Really? Because we just saw in a clip yesterday that they don't know.
Right.
He just said, you don't watch that account very closely. What do? Like sit next to him and like rub his back and say, where are you spending the money, Supreme Leader? Where are you spending it? And he's like, oh, let me tell you. That's not how it works. You just said yesterday that that's not how, you don't know. This guy is so full of crap. His eyes are brown. Oh my gosh.
Well, let's go back to Bill Hemmer, because Bill Hemmer also said, what is this? What is the fact that everybody is ignoring Biden's very decisive instructions? Don't. What does it say about our strength, our perceived strength by the rest of the world? And Kirby is like, Well, just watch.
Got your hands full. And I was looking back at the track record for President Biden. Here's what sticks out. The Afghanistan withdrawal was a mess. We failed to stop Putin from going into Ukraine. The war with Israel and Hamas has been absolutely dreadful and destructive. Again, it's the first time Iran has aimed at Israel. China's military buildup is substantial. And that was just this morning what I came up with. Can you argue that American strength and persuasion is better today than it was 4 years ago globally?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100% I can,
Where?
Bill, and I can do that very comfortably after serving for as long as I did in uniform. I'll tell you, this is a president who understands American leadership on the world stage. He has devoted additional resources, not just militarily, but diplomatically, economically, around the world to advance our national security interests.
House Speaker. I mean, it's just talking points. How he can say that and then sleep at night, I have no idea. I guess it's our money because we just keep giving him our money. And he has a really nice fat pension because of us. You're welcome, Kirby.
Well, and interestingly, too, both he and Karine Jean-Pierre were asked questions in the presser yesterday about the House potentially putting forward a standalone Israel aid bill.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand why when they say, oh, no, we're not going to be supportive of that. We would never be supportive of a standalone bill. Why no one in the press pool says, why?
Yeah.
Why don't they ask why? It doesn't make any sense to me. But here is what they asked about, what the response would be of this administration to a standalone Israel bill.
Mike Johnson has said that he'll move forward with a vote on additional Israel aid. If Congress were to pass additional aid for Israel and only that, will President Biden reject it?
So we've been very clear, my colleagues from here,
very clear,
just moments ago, that we will not accept a standalone. A standalone would actually not help Israel and Ukraine.
Why?
It would actually delay the needs that the
How?
needed aid that they obviously need to fight. You see what's happening in Ukraine. Obviously, the brave people of Ukraine are fighting against a tyrant. We need to make sure that they have the assistance that they need. We saw what happened in Israel just over the weekend, and the leadership that this president has shown. It would actually not help them if we do a standalone, and we do not support a standalone.
How would that delay helping them? How? That doesn't make any sense at all. And that's not clear. It's not, there's no clarity in that answer whatsoever. And everything she said just makes everybody she's so dumb.
Dumb.
It's clear as mud.
Well, and John Kirby says the same thing, and no one pushes back.
Opposed to a standalone bill that would just work on Israel, as we've seen proposed, we would oppose a standalone bill. Yes.
Why?
If it's standalone, listen. I mean, I feel like it's suffice. If it's standalone, then that would mean that we'd be able to get it to them quicker.
Right. And every bill, everything should be a standalone bill.
There would be no pork in there to mess it up and convolute it and confuse it. So I don't understand any of this. And I don't think that they do either, or they do. And somebody said that they're selling us out. Well, yeah, these people have already sold America out. They've absolutely done that. They're disgraceful, and there's no clarity whatsoever. And you ask the question, why does nobody push back? It's because there are no journalists left.
Yeah. Well, and even if and when they do, even if there's a doozy, you hear what kind of answers they get. I mean, they're just nonsensical word salads.
Mm-hmm.
They
Let
never
me be clear.
ever answer.
I have no intelligence.
Very clear.
Right. I have no intelligence to provide. None.
But she does apparently. This was weird. So when she first got to the podium yesterday, she said happy tax day to everybody. And then she made this quip about how she no longer has a wife to do her taxes for her. And then I don't think people really knew how to react to that. Some people were like, oh, and then what is she upset because she's divorced now from her wife? But it was just such an odd thing to say. Here is that moment.
Happy tax day. I did take care of my taxes. I don't have a wife to take care of my taxes.
Somebody said, "Oh."
I like to
that
say
is weird.
Is it a wife's job to take care of taxes? Because I'd be miserable at that.
Well, I do actually take care of our taxes.
Do you really? You do?
Yeah.
But you don't actually do the accounting.
Oh, no. But like I gather all the things and I collect all the things and I know all the things.
But you don't do the taxes.
Oh no, we have an account for that. Oh my God.
I was gonna say I'm not doing our taxes. I'm gonna give it to an accountant to do it. I'm not doing that crap. Yeah. But I mean, it's not like she's gonna get, audited or anything. So she can
she's probably gonna be just fine.
She's gonna be fine.
And then just for no reason, there is a Kamala clip where she has said this many, many times before. This is not being unburdened. This is not the unburdened thing. But this is another Kamala-ism that she has said from time to time. And I don't get it.
Ouch. I like to say, I eat no for breakfast. I don't hear no until maybe it's spoken the 10th time. I'm going to use that now. I eat no for breakfast.
What does that mean exactly? Why does she say that?
What does
that mean?
She eats no for breakfast. So she's like, no. I'm gonna eat you up. I feel like if you're eating something, you like it.
Right.
So in her case, she's eating things that she doesn't like, which is freaking weird. That's weird. I don't know what. But then again, Kamala is weird. So
she's so strange, you guys. She's just so strange in every way.
She really is. She is an odd bird, that one, isn't she?
And I love the chick that was like, I'm going to start using that.
Just
don't.
As Joe Biden would say,
don't. It's just not a good idea. It's just not a wise thing to do. Speaking of the Iran and Israel conflict, Naftali Bennett, former prime minister of Israel, was on with, I don't remember that Fox News's I don't know this lady's name.
You don't have to remember.
We don't have to remember it.
Nobody cares.
But I loved when he was asked what should the response be, and I loved that his question is what should it be if this happened to you? If 350 missiles were fired at the United States, what should the response be? And I hope people really listen to that. You know what I mean? He also had like a tweet storm, which we'll share about this, but I thought this was interesting. There are a couple moments where the voice, his sound gets a little distorted, but you'll totally be able to understand.
Former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. Mr. Bennett, thank you for joining us. And I want to start by asking you, should Prime Minister Netanyahu respond aggressively, measured, or should he not respond?
We should do what America would have done if 330 cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and UAVs were hurled towards American land, some of them hitting. And I'll just mention that a 7-year-old Arab-Israeli girl is fighting for her life right now. So what would America do? That's what we need to do.
So that means full force response.
We're going to need to have a clever, surprising, and decisive response. Look, I'm hearing about the incredible victory that Israel achieved yesterday versus Iran. I would define it differently. Indeed, it was an incredible success, phenomenal success in defense. Basically, we've managed to fend off and protect against all the sorts of weapons coming from all directions simultaneously. But you cannot win wars by defense only. After incurring 330 hits and us not hitting back, just blocking, the only way Iran will think twice next time is if they pay a very painful price.
Okay, so he's like, we do what America would do. Well, hopefully they would do what America would do if, say, like a Trump was in office. Because I got to say, if this happened to us right now, I don't know what Biden would do. Biden would just do nothing because he's such a wuss, So, I mean, that's that. And then on top of that,
he would tell them don't.
He would continue to don't after they already did. That's the thing. So I would base it on what's like an actual good president of the
Mhm.
United States would do. But I hear what he said. That was a great answer. Fantastic answer. But on top of that, you're right. Like you and I have talked about this offline, and Israel cannot just continue to play defense.
Right.
They can't. You can't win a game if you are just playing good defense. You got to have a decent offense too. And
Mhm.
plus it costs money every single time they deploy that stuff to defend themselves. It's money. I mean, they've got it, and they have a great offense, so use it.
Right. Well, and like we showed, I can't remember who said it yesterday, but somebody was just like, now is the time to hit critical nuclear infrastructure.
Do it.
There's no better time than now. And the people that are in the White House administration that are trying to play this off like, oh, well, everything's fine because there really wasn't that much damage compared to what it could have been. And they're calling this a success. Well, I mean, yes, it's a success of the defense weaponry that Israel has that we've helped supply. But I mean, it's still not a success. The fact remains that Iran attacked. They still want to attack. So it's not like a victory. It's just a success of the systems, which is the point that he made. He went on to say, he mentioned, like he did in that news clip, that there's a 7-year-old fighting for her life. That is the only casualty at this point. And that the Islamic Republic has made a big mistake because for the past 30 years, it's been wreaking havoc on the region through its proxies. But the terror octopus, whose head is Tehran and its tentacles are in all of these different places, it's very, very convenient. And Israel has always played along. They've always just been like, oh, can you not? Like, they haven't been very offensive, right? And so he continued to go on saying it's time to act. And Israel is actually fighting everybody's war.
Right.
They're the small Satan, according to radical Islam, and America is the big one. So if Israel is doomed, then so are we.
Right.
So I mean,
exactly.
He had some good things to say.
Which is why any president that we have needs to be absolutely 100% on the side of Israel. Absolutely. I mean, without question. And I know Trump is.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was and he will be.
Hillel Neuer also put out a very interesting little video. I thought this was timely because it's very, very easy in the heat of the moment of these kinds of events to just look at Iran as a monolith and just be like, that country sucks and we should just annihilate them. But we forget, it's very easy to forget that the Iranian people hate their regime. They hate the Islamic Republic and they want peace with Israel. So first, Hillel Neuer talks about that. And then that absolutely gorgeous Iranian woman who's, she grew up, I think, part-time in the UK, hence her beautiful accent, but she's also a practicing attorney here in the United States. She's an Iranian. And so she also expresses similar views. She's just gorgeous. I don't know if you say her name Elisa or if it's Elika. I don't know. But she's become very, very popular on TikTok and elsewhere. I'll just let these two clips play together.
Hey everyone, it's Hillel Neuer from UN Watch. I want to highlight one very important distinction. I've arrived here in Israel to show solidarity with the people here after they've been targeted by 350 cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and suicide drones fired by the Islamic regime in Iran. Don't say the Iranian nation, don't say Iran, because actually the Iranian people are targeted by the same evil Islamic regime, the Ayatollahs, the mullahs, who have been subjugating the people of Iran for so long. They're the same ones who are attacking the people of Israel. So really, they're on the same side. The vast majority of the Iranian people hate this evil regime, the same regime that has been attacking the people of Israel. So they're on the same side. Don't conflate the two. Don't say Iran. Don't say Iranian nation. The evil here is the Islamic regime in Iran. Don't forget.
Now, I see some people saying, no, because they celebrated in the street. Now, you're conflating the Palestinians with the Iranians, two totally different things.
Right.
So don't confuse those two things either. He's talking about Iranian people specifically, not the people in Gaza who did celebrate October 7th. That's totally different. Totally different. Okay, so here is Elisa. I'm going to assume her name is pronounced that way.
Hi, Iranian woman here. It's become very apparent that you haven't been listening to anything that we've had to say for the past 2 years. But all of a sudden, everyone's graduated from Instagram School of Law to say that this is a violation of international law and Iran has the right to defend itself. First of all, you're not talking about Iran, you're talking about the Islamic Republic. What the Islamic Republic does is not a reflection of the Iranian people. We've been clear about what we want, which is peace. Or if you had listened to us for the past 2 years, much less the past 45 years, you'd know that Iranians don't want war with Israel. We want peace with Israel. Iranian people inside of Iran have come out and said this over and over and over again. It's you that wants war with Israel. It's your hatred for Israel and your hatred for Jews that's pulling us into a war that we didn't ask for. Have we not suffered enough for the past 45 years that we now have to be used as pawns for your fantasies about war with Israel? Leave us alone. We don't want that. So if you want to support the Islamic Republic in putting Iranians' lives at risk and everyone's lives at risk, they just killed a 10-year-old Bedouin boy for this. Is that what you wanted? Then just come out and say that with your whole chest. Say you support the Islamic Republic in their continued aggressions that put everybody's lives at risk. But don't say Iran. For 2 years, we asked you to come out and say free Iran. And now you want to speak up to put our lives at risk and say go to war, Iran. You are no friend to the Iranian people for that.
And she was directing that to the crazy protesters who were like, yay, Iran, go get them.
Yeah.
That's who that was directed
A lot
to.
of the men in our chat here could not get past her ridiculous beauty.
She's gorgeous. I mean,
Yeah,
oh my God.
it's
Like,
hard
I
to
can't get past it either.
They were like, I'm sorry, what is she saying? What is she saying? Yeah, but the Islamic regime in Iran is an important distinction, right?
Yeah.
And it's important that people see that because a lot of Iranians are like, we hate our government. We hate what they're doing. We hate these people.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, I thought that was just an interesting reminder. You guys remember Claudine Gay, the former president of Harvard, who was caught plagiarizing, and she had that horrible, ridiculous exchange with Elise Stefanik about condemning, violence in Israel, all that stuff. You remember it. And then ultimately she's still getting paid, but she's no longer the president of Harvard.
I mean, why would we hold her accountable and fire her completely? I mean, why? It's America, right? Hello, it's education.
Well, anyway, she was the part of the reason. I'm not going to give him 100% credit because the internet does what the internet does. But Christopher Rufo was one of the people that really tweeted constantly about all the plagiarism, about how awful she was. He was certainly part of the reason that ultimately she was removed from her position. And now he's got his sights set on a new target. And that target is the new CEO of NPR, who he retweeted the crap out of yesterday, dug up a whole bunch of her former tweets, and it shows what an absolute psychopath she is and how absolutely biased she is. And this is in light of the fact that there was that senior editor who went on with the Free Press with Barry Weiss to talk about what a piss poor job NPR did during Trump's presidency of covering him appropriately. And now there's this new CEO. And so we're just going to let the tweets run and speak for themselves. This is her in 2020. She's literally wearing a Biden for president hat, which is fine. Like she wasn't, presidenting of NPR at that point.
And she's outside with a mask.
Outside with a mask.
Are you okay? Really?
And I should point out, too, before we run through the rest of these tweets, NPR is welcome to be a leftist organization.
Totally.
But they don't get to take taxpayer money when they do it.
We give them so much money. This is the problem. This is how I feel about, listen, I don't agree with anything that Planned Parenthood does, but it sickens me that they take my money.
Right.
That's the most disgusting part of it, right? Well, maybe not the most disgusting, but that's one of the biggest things that I have against them is that I have to give them money. I shouldn't have to give them any money. Taxpayer money is we're giving all sorts of cash to NPR, and they're a propaganda machine, essentially.
Yeah. And this is Catherine Maher is this CEO now. I mean, just look at some of the past tweets. You're going to see a whole big mess of them because Rufo was on fire. So she apparently was a huge supporter of BLM.
Oh, shocker.
So she was like, yay, standing up against police brutality.
She's a Marxist. So she's a Marxist.
Yeah, she's so done with late stage capitalism.
There you go. Okay.
America is addicted to white supremacy, according to Catherine. She called Trump a deranged racist sociopath.
Okay.
She calls herself someone with cis white mobility privilege.
Whatever.
She's mad that there's so many white men that fly business class.
Oh, really?
She's horrible. She's absolutely awful. And I'm glad he's calling her out.
But I'm sure that she flies business class, probably on our dime.
But it's not equal.
Oh, okay. Because she would know that because she's in business class looking at all the other white people who happen to be men, right? Is that what her beef is? I know. Insufferable. This chick
just
is.
Ridiculous. Completely ridiculous.
And you're welcome for your salary, lady. You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. David McKinney, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate it. Curio23 says KJP and Kirby. Let's circle back to that later. Robin Zecca, thank you. Robin says Kamala's trying to find a cool catchphrase. She is doing a miserable job of that. Where's the beef? And Robin also said Biden would whip off his CPAP and turn into Super Biden. You know he totally does a CPAP.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely, positively.
Yeah, Jill and him don't sleep in the same bedroom in the White House. Like she's in some other bedroom. I don't even know how many. There's like the Lincoln bedroom, and I don't even know what other bedrooms are in there. But she is not in that bedroom because he does have a CPAP. Yeah.
The guy that you pointed out to a couple different times, that Sisson guy, who is
Harry Sisson.
Harry Sisson. Yeah, I don't know why I cannot retain his first name.
He's like 14 years old. He's on TikTok.
My brain keeps rejecting like having him as a stored memory.
I mean, it's hard to even call him a young man because he's not that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, he's obviously, his pockets are lined with money from the Biden campaign. And so he puts out a lot of videos. He's become extraordinarily popular with, young people all over TikTok and other socials. And someone put together a montage of how his grift works and how he uses he uses these specific words at the beginning of each of his videos in order to, they're like clickbait words.
It's totally clickbait.
And it was just so interesting to see that all back to back to back to back to back. So anyway, I just thought we would share that.
So as you've probably, this is so, wow. So this is fantastic. Well, what do you know? Wow. So Donald, okay. So yeah, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. Listen, we have some massive, wow. This is fantastic. Yeah, you gotta see. Yeah, this is fantastic. Well, folks, this is too funny. So this is fantastic. Man. We have some amazing, this is disgusting. Yikes. This is fantastic. This is so good. This is amazing. Well, would you look? Wow, this is
wow.
I mean, it goes on and on and on.
It's annoying because he's annoying, and this kid is like a whore for the Democrat Party. That's basically what he is. And one day, I hope he grows up and he's like, ew. God,
I looked really dumb.
What did I do with my life? Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. And he tries to act as if he's not doing that, like he's doing it all on his own accord, right? It's not. They are paying him. It's obvious that they're paying him.
Yeah, and he's got a formula, and it obviously is working for him. And so that's what that formula looks like.
And there are kids out there and adults, Democrat adults who are like, oh my God, we love you. We love what you do, blah, blah. And that's how Democrats win the social wars, you guys. It's from complete morons like Harry Sisson. He has a little friend too that he does these videos with. But listen, you can discount him all you want, but that's what Democrats do better than Republicans. Because we don't have a lot of Republican kids on TikTok combating his messages. Oh my God, that's disgusting. You have to see this.
This is fantastic.
This kid, I cannot stand him.
Katie Couric made a recent appearance on Bill Maher's one of the shows, not the show, but like the thing that he does in his basement or whatever when they smoke pot. Yeah. So she appeared with him to talk about, they both hate Trump. This is obvious, but it was interesting to hear him talk about the coverage of Trump and how he himself has actually fallen victim to covering him in a certain way. And now he knows better. And he's hoping to see more fairness given to not necessarily Trump, but to his supporters. So this was an interesting little exchange.
The people loved him and what he was saying. And then you cut to a panel of 6 know-it-alls in Washington who just do nothing but talk about the negative. And like, I'm all in on the negative. No one's been harder on Trump than me. But I get it, and I'm bored with it. And there's a different way to do this, I think, which
what is it?
Is to not to defend Trump, but to defend the people who still vote for him, because what they see on the other side to them is even more dangerous, because it's very closer to home. My kid is coming home from school and he thinks he's a racist. He's 5. What have you been telling him? You know, my son thinks maybe he's not a boy, and maybe that's true. That happens. But, you know, those kind of things are what they say. That's why I'm voting for Trump.
A backlash to the pendulum swinging so far to the
conservative guy
left.
once said to me, what you don't get about Trump is we don't like him either. Now, that's not true for all people. There are people who just love his dirty draws, and they are dirty. But lots of people, it's like that. We don't like him, but he's all that stands between us and madness. That's their view.
So
that, I would like that view presented.
You see,
Yeah, but
I thought that was interesting for him to note
that he's all that stands between us and madness. Yeah. In that same interview though, she totally discounted us. She basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, that we were all a bunch of hillbillies, uneducated hillbillies.
Deplorables.
And we're all exactly. She might as well have just used that word. And it's the same old shit, different day. And that's exactly what she did, is she discounted all of us because we're not elite like her, you know? And I'm just like, and I'm so tired of that way of thinking by leftists. They all believe that they're educated and we're not, that they're up here and we're down here. And it's like, okay, go ahead and keep thinking that. You guys just all keep thinking that, and we'll see what happens. Because that is truly what is in their brains. They believe that they're so much, that they're intellectually superior to all of us while they live in these bubbles. They don't live in the real world. We live in the real world, which is the reason that, the main reason that I support Trump is because
but that's why, you know, because it's like she was ignoring what he was saying. And I felt like he was having a bit of a breakthrough where he's like, this isn't about Trump the person. This is about what he is standing in the way of for a lot of people. And she just was like, I don't care.
She doesn't care. She doesn't care because they'll never get it because they don't live in the real world. But even Bill Maher, like, he kind of gets it a little bit, but he'll go to the polls and he'll vote Democrat.
Right.
And I don't know what to say to people like that. If you still see all the things that are going on around you and you can't change your mindset a little bit based on policy and not the person, I can't help you. I can't.
Back in the day, in early stages of talk shows, and of course, Phil Donahue was like, he reigned supreme on that front. And I loved Phil Donahue, even though he's a whack job lib. I loved his show and I watched it religiously. And there's a great clip that was floating around for whatever reason. It was circulating around socials yesterday, and it was an old clip of Milton Friedman. And it is such a fantastic clip, not just because Milton Friedman was like a national treasure and making all the sense in the world about capitalism and greed and all the things that he spoke so intelligently about, but it's the way that Phil Donahue looks at him during the entire 2 minutes that he is being absolutely schooled that I just loved. Because at the end, Milton Friedman essentially insults him very kindly, but it's an insult nonetheless. And Phil's reaction is just so different than what it would be like today. You know what I mean? Like today, everybody would be like throwing punches and it's just crazy. Yeah. It didn't used to be that way. And I love that. I love this clip for that reason. And just because Milton Friedman is awesome.
On the globe, the maldistribution of wealth, the desperate plight of millions of people in underdeveloped countries, when you see so few haves and so many have-nots, when you see the greed and the concentration of power within, did you ever have a moment of doubt about capitalism and whether greed's a good idea to run on?
Well, first of all, tell me, is there some society you know that doesn't run on greed? You think Russia doesn't run on greed? You think China doesn't run on greed? What is greed? Of course, none of us are greedy. It's only the other fellow who's greedy. The world runs on individuals pursuing their separate interests. The great achievements of civilization have not come from government bureaus. Einstein didn't construct his theory under order from a bureaucrat. Henry Ford didn't revolutionize the automobile industry that way. In the only cases in which the masses have escaped from the kind of grinding poverty you're talking about, the only cases in recorded history are where they have had capitalism and largely free trade. If you want to know where the masses are worst off, it's exactly in the kinds of societies that depart from that. So that the record of history is absolutely crystal clear, that there is no alternative way so far discovered of improving the lot of the ordinary people that can hold a candle to the productive activities that are unleashed by a free enterprise system.
But it seems to reward not virtue as much as ability to manipulate the system.
And what does reward virtue? You think a communist commissar rewards virtue? You think a Hitler rewards virtue? You think, excuse me, if you'll pardon me, do you think American presidents reward virtue? Do they choose their appointees on the basis of the virtue of the people appointed or on the basis of their political clout? Is it really true that political self-interest is nobler somehow than economic self-interest? You know, I think you're taking a lot of things for granted. And just tell me where in the world you find these angels who are going to organize society for us. Well, I don't even trust you to do that.
It's
I love it. And he laughs at the end. I mean, because he knows,
right?
It's like, take all the seats, Phil. But we used to be able to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And then take it. You know, like liberals could be like, okay, I see your point. I may not take nothing from this other than the fact that you just completely schooled me, but I'm listening and I'm not going to be a dick about it. I'm just going to listen to you. Remember when we used to be able to do that? Remember? Yeah. Between like this, because we grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and people could do that. And then it stopped. I blame Obama.
I just give so much credit to both of them in that clip. Because that was amazing.
And it was
absolutely
brilliant.
Amazing.
Everything he said was brilliant and spot on. He was right, 100%.
Yeah. 100%. And now we have to go to Brian Stelter, which is like such a night and day, right? So Brian Stelter, who you may know from such things as looking like a thumb and or a potato. It could be, he's been known to be referred to as either of those things. And he used to be on, was it MSNBC or CNN? CNN, I think.
Oh, I thought it was okay. Maybe it is CNN. I don't know. I didn't watch the show. I didn't watch it. But he's wholly unaware of the fact that people call him a potato or a thumb.
Well, he's aware, but not in the way that he should be, I don't think, based on this hilarious clip, which I didn't even realize that he was aware of a whole different potato joke. And I wasn't aware of the potato joke that he's aware of. So there's like a lot of potato-y weirdness happening in this clip. And that's why we need to unpack and untangle it.
I don't even trust you to do that.
It's not just about the characters who are in, it's also about the villains that the cinematic universe creates. I like to think that I'm a bit character in that universe. I once had a potato mailed to me. It came in a FedEx box. It was an actual potato. And I showed it to my kids. And of course, my kids are young. They have no idea why someone's mailing me a potato. It's because that within the Fox universe, I used to be called Humpty Dumpty. And from there it became Brian's a potato. And so when I get random tweets from people calling me Spud, I know that, as you just said, they're in that in-group. It is their way of communicating to each other that they are in on the, I guess in this case, it's a joke, but it's also an insult, you know?
Yeah. Yes, it's an insult. It's because you look like a potato. It has nothing to do with Humpty Dumpty.
Look at him. He's so smug. I love it. His book is all about all the lies that Fox tells. Dude, you worked at CNN. How? Can you write a book about, and are people going to buy that book?
I mean, I guess
it pains me. It actually pains me a little bit that more people will buy his book than bought ours. Because we didn't lie.
We had a much larger platform.
I mean, but still, there were no lies in our book. There's going to be lies in his that actually bothers me a little bit. Yeah.
Mark Gray, you're completely confusing him with Tubin. So he never took his pants off on camera. He's like, you got pants on, pervert? Totally different guy. Totally different guy.
It's a different CNN dude because
That's
I know
not
it's
even the
hard.
same
It's
person.
hard to keep them all straight. This guy's the potato. The other guy like did that during a meeting. Yeah. And then he still works there.
Oh yeah, he got brought back. They figured if we just put him off air for like a few months and then bring him back, it'll be okay.
Yeah, people will forget, right? Uh-huh.
And then before we get to DDs, I saw this hilarious. This is a prank to pull on liberals at the beach, and I thought this is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's money. I'm gonna pick up the money. That's good. I like that. I gotta get some of those printed out.
I like that too.
It's really good.
I like that too.
That's good.
All right, let me get some. Your DD is a talk, and so
it is a talk.
Just remind everybody that those are brought to us by My Pillow. My Pillow Toks.
Yeah,
Let me share
and my DD.
screen.
My DD is an Eagles perspective, you guys, and I love this. It's very patriotic, and I love Eagles, so I thought you guys would enjoy it. Look at that. They're unbelievable. There's a guy waiting for him. And look at that. I'm afraid of heights. So when I was watching this,
see where to go?
I have no idea. This is the thing. I have no clue. And he's just going to fly on that guy's arm. Look at him. Hey,
oh my God.
I'm going to land on this guy's arm. Isn't that crazy? I mean, you don't think about that until you're... Look at him. And
wow.
There it is. Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
Isn't it? Eagles
amazing.
Are awesome.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Really cool.
Speaking of amazing, there is a clip of Ben Carson talking about what we know about the brain. I understand maybe 2 words out of this entire thing. Okay. I completely forget. I think it's very easy to, because Ben Carson is such a soft spoken, mild-mannered, gentle soul.
I love him.
I know that you forget the brilliant part, right? I mean, you know, like he's taken apart conjoined twins, and you know he's a neurosurgeon, and you know all that. But to hear him in this clip and the speed with which he is talking about what we understand about the brain, this absolutely blew my mind wide open.
Take your index finger and touch that card right there. Now, I know what it took for you to do that. The sound waves had to leave my lips, travel to the air, enter your external auditory meatus, travel down to your tympanic membrane, set up a vibratory force, which travel across the oscles of the middle ear to the oval and round with a central vibratory force. Distorted the microcilia, converting mechanical energy to electrical energy, travel across the cochlear nerve to the cochlear nucleus at the pontomedullary junction, from there to the superior olivary nucleus, ascending bilaterally up the brainstem to the lateral meniscus, to the inferior colliculus and the medial geniculate nuclei, across the thalamic radiations to the posterior temporal lobes, begin the auditory process, and from there to the frontal lobes, down the tract to retrieve the memory from the medial hippocampal structures in the memory bodies, back to the frontal lobes to start the motor response at the bed cell level, coming down the cortical spinal tract, across the internal capsule, into the cerebral peduncle, descending down to the cervical medullary decussation, into the spinal cord. May I understand that from there, stimulating the nerve and the muscle. So you could point to that card.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Oh my
it was on the
God.
tip of my tongue. But of course.
But my point being, we know a lot about the brain. We just don't know all there is to know about it.
Can you even?
I want to like, what's in that martini, man? What's in it? That's amazing.
Oh my
That is-
God.
And, you just, and Michael Knowles' face, he's just like, what is happening right now? Yeah, he's a remarkable man.
Just
and if you ever have a
amazing.
chance to watch his life story, because there's that movie that has Cuba Gooding Jr. in it, that he plays in the biopic of his life. It's such a great movie. I just love him. And I remember watching that one afternoon just thinking, God, what an extraordinary man.
Yeah, truly extraordinary for
Yeah.
sure. There is a chef, or at least somebody, I don't know if he's an actual chef by profession, but he posts a lot of like recipes and stuff on TikTok, and he's so angry and mean about it. I just love him. He is about to show the cheesiest of all grilled cheese sandwiches, and he is so hostile about how it's made. And I just love this so much.
You've been making your grilled cheese wrong your entire life. Don't fuck it up. Before we start, if you eat this part of the bread, you deserve the death penalty. You're gonna grab 3 slices of potato bread. By the way, it's National Grilled Cheese fucking Day. I don't know who the fuck comes up with this, because we obviously have bigger problems in the world. We're using 4 different types of cheese. You're going to assemble your sandwich exactly like this. 3 slices of mozzarella.
Why is he screaming at
2
us?
slices of cheddar.
I don't know, but I like it.
3 slices
You do?
of Gruyere.
Yeah.
Ooh, I am French. I only use Gruyere. If one more person says, I'm worried about your posture, worry about yourself. 3 slices of cheddar, a little bit of salt, and that's your grilled cheese.
Oh my God.
I'm joking. Low, medium heat.
Oh my God. I will eat this.
Oh my God, I would eat the crap out of this.
That looks amazing.
And it just gets better.
Grab a little bit of Parmesan. This is going to give you
kidding
the
me?
craziest crust you've ever had. Patience. Whatever the most liked comment is in this video, I will cook in the next video. Parmesan, a touch of water, and then you're gonna cover it again. Why does he add water? To melt the fucking cheese, man. Our grilled cheese is finished. Don't talk, listen.
Oh my.
And that's
Oh my God.
God, are you kidding me? I want that right now. I want it right this second.
There is so much cheese.
I know.
So much.
No, but there's never enough. There's never enough cheese, you guys. Ever.
Oh my God. That was amazing. And I kind of like being yelled at.
You do? Now
By
we
him,
know. Now
and
we know
that-
a little bit more about Mock, everybody. You know
There's
what I'm
something
saying?
so funny about how he yells the instructions. It just makes me want to listen and make the things.
Yeah, we know a little bit more about Mock, and I'm just going to give you guys a little inside information. Ron is very mild mannered,
As far as you know.
Mock likes the screaming. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. You do with that what you will.
Also, for some reason, right now TikTok is exploding with color analysis. And if there's anybody out there that knows how to do that, I would be very interested in finding out what season I am.
Me too. Oh my God, it's so
Right?
interesting that you say that, because there's a woman on Instagram that does it, but she's in the UK, and I'm like, I don't want to get that done in the UK. I'd like to have it done here. So
Well, they have all kinds of like templates that you can use. You're supposed to like stand in front of natural light, like a window with natural light. And then you use this little chart that pops up on TikTok that's supposed to tell you. But the problem with those things is that you have to rely on your own eye to be able to tell what looks good on you. And I do not have that ability. I have no idea to tell what color looks good on me.
Oh, see, I thought they did that.
No. It's like
do
a
that.
cell. Like you have to look at it and it'll show you, okay, here's what you look like with summer colors. Here's what you look like with winter colors. And then you're just supposed to decide. I don't know.
Oh, no. See, I think there are people out there that actually do that for you. There are color analysts that will do that for you. Like the one in the UK that I found, she does that for you. Like it's a team of people that do that for you, and it costs money. And I'm like, I'm just unwilling to do this, especially if it's out. But it's not makeup, you guys. I'm not talking about makeup. I'm talking about clothing and like even hair coloring. Like they'll look at you and say, you have the completely wrong hair coloring. You need to be like a redhead, which I have been a redhead. And actually I've thought about going back to being a redhead, but they will tell you, this is what you need to do. You need to wear these color clothes, blah. They'll say all that kind of stuff. So if anybody out there does that, let us know.
Yeah,
I would love to have you do that.
I would love to have an official color analysis.
Me too.
And the reason that I would like it is because it really does make such an enormous difference. And I've never seen a video show how much of a difference it makes better than this one.
No, because once you know your color palette, everything changes.
Totally.
First of all, this sweater, I love it dearly. It's like one of my all-time favorites. It has a little snag in it. Don't look at that. But it's just like a creamy white. Okay, I wear it all the time. Now, my color palette that I saw, okay, on TikTok, which I don't know, reliable, who knows? But I was like, let's do an experiment. I go to Marshall's. I found this little like tank top. I was like, okay, not a color I would ever think of buying. But watch this. Here's with the cream. Look at me. Here's with this color.
Chartreuse.
Look at how much better she looks.
Yeah. Is that chartreuse?
Let's do that again. Cream, white.
I mean,
Right.
she comes to life.
Right. This is the thing. But you would never, a lot of people would never dream of getting that color.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. This is the thing. So
I'm sold. Like, I need to know how to do that because I have
Right.
no idea what colors.
Yeah,
go.
chartreuse. Yeah, it's funny because my stepdaughter, she said to me one time, she was like, everybody looks good in chartreuse, and I'm like, I don't know if everybody does. She's like, you should totally try chartreuse because it's sort of a universal color, and I was like,
really?
Yeah, and I didn't believe her, but I mean, apparently it's a good color for a lot of people. Just saying.
Did you get any?
I have chartreuse in my closet. I
Really?
just don't really wear it a lot. Yeah. And I'm so fair. So I don't know. I'm like, there's a part of me that's been thinking about just like dyeing my hair a completely different color. Cause I'm at that stage in life where I'm just like, I don't care. F it. Let's do it. So I would love for somebody to like, it's Tammy said she has a friend that does it. Have her somebody out there probably does this. Contact us. We'll do it. I'm not above. I will literally do anything to my hair.
I would love to find out. I would love to find out. All right, last one. And then we have to have a discussion about Jennifer Say, who, by the way, has a new clothing line out that's awesome and you should check it out. And Seth Dillon and trans women in sports. So we need, because there were some interesting tweets that came out of both of them that I know you have very strong feelings about. And that's why I wanted to save them and have you address them specifically. Because this is a thing that affects you personally. And so you're much better to talk about it than I am. But we'll do one more TikTok before we get to that. And that is, this is just a prank, I guess, that this woman is playing on her husband, where she pretends to argue with an imaginary person in the back seat of their car. And my husband would absolutely lock me up in a mental institution if I were behaving this way. But the way that he comes through for her, you guys, it's the greatest.
Ow, bitch. Don't pull my fucking hair. Ow, you fucking bitch.
Hey!
Pull my hair.
Hey!
She's pulling my hair. God. Don't fucking do that shit. Call the cops before I kill this bitch.
Hold on, babe.
What is going on in this video?
You want me to?
Tell her.
I don't think you want me to call the cops.
You fucking bitch.
He's just afraid he's gonna get hurt.
Calm down.
You got my hair.
Let go of her.
You got my hair.
Let go of her. Let go of her. In Jesus' name.
God.
What is happening?
Don't do that shit. I can't believe you're letting her do that.
I'm not. Don't do that shit. I've had enough.
Ow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My husband would never do that. My husband would be like, "You are completely insane.
We're committing you right now. Like,
what is wrong with you? You have
taking
lost
you to the hospital.
You have lost your mind. We're driving you right now to the hospital."
Oh my God. I could not believe, like, well, obviously he was completely freaked out because you would be, right?
I think he was probably doing that temporarily until he could drive her to some sort of a facility. So he didn't get hurt because she looked like she could take him.
Yeah, she was kicking that invisible person's ass.
Yeah, that chick was crazy. And that was weird.
Anyway, those were your talks for today. Now we are going to talk about Jennifer Say. So recently there was another incident where a trans woman, an actual man, beat a whole bunch of actual girls in a race, like a running race. Yeah, shocker. This is constantly happening, as we all know.
Right.
And Jennifer Say, who again has started a clothing line, like Riley Gaines is one of the ambassadors for the clothing line. She has had enough, and she made this suggestion. I'm sorry, and I know it sucks, but girls and women need to stand down, refuse to compete in order to stand up for female athletes. It must be done. I do understand the sacrifice, but it is the only way to end this. And then Seth Dillon chimed in and said, yes, as difficult as it is to hear, women must be willing to give up their sports to keep them. And then somebody pushed back and was like, Seth, respect and love what you do. Disagree with you on this. I have 2 teenage daughters in sports. I don't think that's the right decision at all. The right decision is for new leadership. We need some strong backbone people to stand up and do the right thing. And he said, I hear this a lot, that it isn't fair to ask that of my daughters, but I never said it was fair. I said it was necessary. This is an opportunity to teach our young women and girls that every generation has to be willing to make a sacrifice for what's right, and that those who are willing to make that sacrifice are far greater champions than anyone who makes it onto a podium with a trophy. Other people agreed. Lots of people disagreed. But somebody pushed back to Jennifer, specifically, and said, you wouldn't ask your own daughter to do this. I disagree. Second place is the new first place for our teens in this position. And she said, no, I would ask her. I would encourage her, but it would be up to her.
I'm seething. I'm seething right now. First of all, Seth Dillon has 2 sons. So it's easy. It's easy for him to point at girls and say, give up your position, sacrifice. They sacrifice every effing day. My daughter is a competitive swimmer. She swims in the morning. She swims in the afternoon. In the summertime, she gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning and she swims in the morning. She swims 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. To me, that's sacrifice. She sacrifices enough. It's time for adults to make sacrifices and get some freaking balls and stand up for these kids. It's not up entirely to the girls to do this. I'm so sick of it. If there's one thing that I learned from our Riley Gaines interview, it's that parents are wusses. Parents are wusses. Adults in the room are not being adults. Because I asked her point blank, I'm like, so what did the parents do when, you were doing what you were doing and standing up? She was the only one on her team to stand up. What were you doing? I'm sorry, what were the parents doing? And she said the parents didn't do anything. You know why? Because the parents were afraid that their girls were going to miss out on opportunities. The parents were afraid they were going to get fired from jobs. They were going to be, I guess, called out by their peers. The parents were afraid. The parents were afraid of being called names and being called, I guess, transphobic in their social circles. Parents were afraid. Parents are wusses. So, I mean, listen.
But what do you do? Then what happens when if you are a parent that does stand up and you're dealing then with administrators or other parents who actually think that it's fine for these trans women to compete? How do you lawyer up? How do you fight this?
You all lawyer up and start suing these people. You start suing them. I don't know how else to do it other than you all get together and you lawyer up, because it can't just be like one parent. I know that there are so many other parents that feel this way, but they're wusses. And there's strength in numbers. And that there are probably, because I know that the women that I hang out with, all the swim moms that I know feel exactly the same way I do. And so if this happened to our girls, there may be some on the team. There may be some swim moms that are like, well, the transgenders should be able to swim. Okay, fine. Well, you're not in our swim mom group, but the ones that are like, they're probably, I could name 6 or 7 of us at least. And I would rally. I'd be like, what, do you really want your girls to not participate and give their spot up to a dude? For how many years to get here? I am vehemently opposed to sacrificing, for these girls to sacrifice more. Lawyer up and go after these jackholes. I'm so sick and tired of girls having to sacrifice. Why should they have to sacrifice? They sacrifice enough.
But there's no if the NCAA, if the governing body of sports is saying trans women are allowed to compete, there is no law, there's no lawyer that's going to be able to do anything about this. Do you know what I mean? And so that's why I wonder, because
they can say that it's against their rights. They could say I'm sure there's a lawyer that would be willing to take up the case. And
there hasn't yet. And this has been a huge problem already.
When it comes to Title IX and everything, all the stuff that the girls have been through to secure their spot as women athletes. These are men coming in and trampling on their spaces. There has to be a lawyer or lawyers out there that are willing to go to bat for the civil rights of girls. There has to be. There has to.
But where are they? Because this has been a problem now for years and nothing is changing.
That is my point. That adults in the room are not being adults. I mean, why aren't adults standing up for these girls? That's what pisses me off. So where are the lawyers? Where are the adults? Where are the adults to stand up for these girls when you have all these adults in social media and around, the country saying, oh, well, the girls just need to sacrifice. F you. F you. I'm so sick and tired of these adults saying that these girls need to be the ones who have to sacrifice more. They sacrifice enough.
But what if it's not about, because I think in the case, like what I saw in terms of the comments on some of those posts from Jennifer and from Seth, were not about, when they were saying sacrifice, they weren't saying just bow out and like gracefully allow a trans woman to beat you. It wasn't that at all. It was,
they were saying don't compete.
No. Well, maybe they're saying, I don't think that's what they said, though. They were saying for the girls to unite as a team and say, we're not doing this meet until that guy is off of the,
exactly.
Get him out.
And sometimes those meets, Mock, mean a scholarship. And sometimes they mean a girl getting a personal best time. Every meet counts. Every meet counts.
But they can't have a meet, right? If all the girls collectively say, we are not doing this.
Right, exactly.
They're just going to have one guy just do a race. They're not going to do that.
Precisely.
You know what I mean?
They can't have a meet, which is, so how many meets are those going to be? So are they just going to not compete at all? Are they just going to have no meets ever? I mean, this is the thing. So every time one of those guys gets in there and says that they want to compete, so girls are going to be like, well, I guess we're not doing this meet, which I trained so freaking hard for over the past however many years to get to this point. Every meet counts. Every millisecond counts in swimming. Every meet counts in swimming. And this is the thing that, like, if you're not a swimmer, you don't understand that. If you're not a parent of a swimmer, you don't understand that. And if you do, and you're willing to sacrifice your girl, shame on you. That's how I feel about it.
Is it a form of sacrifice, though, to just to do the meet with the boy who's likely to beat you? You know what I mean? Like, what's
the boy's probably going to meet? The boy's going to beat you, which is why I feel like the best way to handle this is from a legal standpoint. And nobody's stepping up for these girls. It's outrageous. I just think that the adults have failed the girls. That's my stance on it.
I mean, without question.
Adults have failed them. And that my stance is that the adults have failed them. And I'm so sick and tired of adults saying to the girls, you need to sacrifice more. It's a shit take. It just is. We need to protect our girls. And we need to show them that we are protecting them. And we need to show them that we're on their side and that we have their backs.
Yeah.
How is a girl supposed to feel secure in herself if her parents and the adults around her don't give a crap about her and don't have her back? What is that? What are we doing to these girls? We're basically saying, you're not important. You need to sacrifice more. You're not important enough. Deal with it on your own. So, I mean, this is why, listen, Riley Gaines has some major balls. And she's done this on her own. And at least she had good enough parents that were like, we stand behind you. Nobody else on her team, I mean, no offense, but nobody else on her team and like none of those other parents stood up. She was the only one that stood up, and shame on them. Actually, shame on them for making her be the only one to do that. That's crap. I mean, that was my biggest takeaway when she did that. I could not believe it. I was like, where were your other teammates? Where were the parents? I get so jacked up about this issue because I know that it's probably coming to a pool near me, you know?
Well, and is that something that you can actually ask of colleges that Gwen looks at? Like, can you, when you talk to coaches, can you say, what's your stance on this? Because we're not coming. If you're okay with trans women in being on the team, then we're not coming.
I will ask the questions. And I mean, I know, like, obviously, what is it? What is that lower, that other, is it the NCIS? What is it? The one that just said that we're not letting
NAIA.
NAIA. What is it? I can't remember the other governing body that is, it's more like D2 and D3 schools, but you know, Gwen's going to be looking at D1 and D2 schools. So it just depends on, you know, I mean, this is the NCAA. They're like, oh, it's totally fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. And you're right. Somebody just said, just uphold Title IX. It is the law. And I don't understand why parents aren't advocating for their girls. They're still young women. Why aren't we advocating for them? It's not okay. It's NAIA. Thank you, Steve. I don't remember all the acronyms. But I get so fired up about this issue because it's easy for somebody with boys or somebody who doesn't swim anymore or somebody who is out of the athletic realm and doesn't deal with this every single day and doesn't get up at the crack of dawn to drive their kid and spend 6 hours in the morning and like 4 hours at night doing a sport with their kid and sacrifices as a family because their kid loves the sport so much and wants to do it and probably very well may, swim in college because she loves it. She loves it. And so for a boy to take that away from her, for parents not to advocate for my daughter, for adults to say, you need to sacrifice, Gwen. She has sacrificed enough. Screw you.
We've got a lot of comments. Footsie's girl, thank you. She says Prince Harry is in the Aspen Institute and is trying to censor our speech. Then Prince Harry and Meghan, are meddling in our elections. I don't know anything about that, but that would not surprise me in the least. It does not surprise me to hear that. C. Douglas says, amen, Daisy. Swimmers are sacrificing so much for their sport. Laura Kate Baker says, Mock, there is a lawsuit against the NCAA that Riley Gaines and other girls have filed. Good. Now things are happening.
Yeah. And it's like more people in the legal profession need to step up and quit being such wusses.
There's way too many parents, especially West Coast parents, though, who are all for this. They think this is fine, even though it's their girls who are impacted.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Well, then they don't believe in their girls and they're terrible parents. That's my take. And if they don't like it, tough. They're terrible parents.
Curio23 says, demand a third category in sports for the trans loonies.
Yeah.
Shelly, thank you. Shelly says, change the narrative. What if athletes decided they're going to go start identifying as Black? Would we tell Black athletes to refuse to compete? Of course not. The girls must compete.
Thank you.
And Footsie's girl again says, just uphold Title IX. It is the law. Yeah. I mean, what does Title IX even mean anymore?
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. We have got to protect these girls and we've got to stand up for them.
Yeah. And by the way, I agree with you. I just thought this would be really, really good to be devil's advocate about.
I know you do. I know you do. It's just that it's absurd that we're looking at these girls and saying, well, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Give up the thing that you love, bow out. Shame on adults, man. Shame on adults. Screw them. Yeah. I will never not support my daughter. I will never not support her teammates. I will always advocate for them. I will be the loudest one there. Always. Yeah. I know how hard these girls work, Yep. All right. We're bringing it in. Now that my blood pressure's up.
Sorry. I just knew you would. I knew that you would be like the best person to talk about this issue. Right. And I thought we got the fact that it was Seth Dillon and Jennifer Say. I was so surprised at both of them. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't know about Jennifer Say, but Seth has 2 boys. So
yeah, I don't know.
Affect him. It just doesn't affect him. He doesn't do it. He doesn't get up. He doesn't do the thing. So
I would be very curious, actually, since Riley is a brand ambassador for Jennifer's new clothing line. What does Riley say about that take? Because are they even in alignment?
Right.
I can't imagine that Riley would say what Jennifer is saying. You know what I mean?
And it's kind of like all the older, like the Martina Navratilova and who's the other? Is it Billie Jean King? Billie Jean King, I think her take is, it's totally fine for transgenders to be in women's sports. It's easy for you to say because you're not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
You already made your money. You had your notoriety. You're retired. So it's easy for you to say. It's always easy for people to say that when they're on the other side of the mountain that they've already climbed, right?
Exactly.
It's like my daughter's in the midst of climbing that mountain, and it's like she didn't have to face this. Billie Jean King and then Martina never had to do this, And as I recall, I think Billie Jean King had her ass kicked by a dude. Remember? Remember? Do you guys remember that back in the 70s? Wasn't it in the 70s she had her ass kicked by a dude? Was it just? Is that? I think I remember that correctly. History. Yeah. Is that correct? Anyways, my point is that it's just none of this is okay. We need to support these girls.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
People are very upset about being so flapless.
Yeah. Martina's against the guys. Okay. So she's against the guys. Then it must be blue-haired. It's blue-haired, purple-haired girl Who's the blue hair, purple hair?
Rapinoe?
Yes, she's totally.
Oh
for
God,
it.
she's useless.
She's totally for it.
Of course she is now. Yeah,
But
she is
again,
now.
she's one of those girls who's on the other. She's on the other side of the spectrum, and it's like
Right.
Bobby Riggs. Bobby Riggs kicked her butt. Right?
No, she beat him. She beat him,
but he was old. Was he old?
I don't. I had never paid attention.
Well,
to
then
that,
maybe
so
that's
I don't know.
then maybe that's why she thinks it's okay because she beat him. Okay, I stand corrected. So she beat Bobby. Who is Bobby Riggs?
I don't know, like but people are upset that we're flapless.
Oh, do I need to go get her? Okay, hold on 1 second.
It's been too long. It's been way too long.
Come here, Astrid.
Somebody's saying
Astrid,
we should
you guys.
end on
It's not going to be
note.
Astrid. It's going to be one of the dudes.
Somebody's got to flap.
Now I need to know more about the Riggs and the Billie Jean King thing so he was old. And so she kicked his butt. That is why then she's probably like, oh, these girls can beat these boys because I beat a boy. He'd like to show you his giraffe, everybody. He would like to show you. There's no flaps, but he wanted to come bearing gifts.
Learn to flap. Should you like kiss his eyeball or something? Like what will make him flap?
I just don't think he's ever going to flap, you guys. Really? He's not. I don't think he's going to flap, but he did come bearing gifts. See?
And that's just going to have to do.
Okay. All right, you guys. Everybody have a wonderful Tuesday, and we will talk to you tomorrow.